I got to a stage in Great Britain where I didn't want the attention anymore.
Of course.
I was fed up with people coming up. I know it's hard to understand that, but when you've got to give your attention to everybody that comes up to you all day long, in the end it wears you down a bit, and I don't ever want to be rude to anyone.
We first met at the judo choir in Orange Street, and Brian was a fantastic teacher. He was a constant inspiration to us all.
I did not want to make a fool of myself against Brian Jacks. I actually wanted to desperately... It wasn't so much winning, I just wanted to be able to compete, and I knew the fellow he was a virtually professional superstar.
97, 98, 99, 100. Yes! 100 for Brian Jackson.
Very, very strong, very powerful athlete, and I thought it was time for me to retire then.
Greetings, fellow wanderers. In today's video, I'm going to drive down from Bangkok to Pattaya to meet a childhood hero of mine. The word legend is bandied about way too often these days, but this man, for me, was a legend. Let's call him an 80s British legend. He became British champion, European champion, won a medal at the Olympics, took part at the 64, 72 and 76. He was asked not to go by Maggie Thatcher in 1980, but by 1980 he'd already formed kind of a new career. He was 34 at the time when he was asked to take part in what became a legendary program. The program was called Superstars. It was a program in which sportsmen or champion sportsmen from every different sport came together to compete in a multidisciplinary event. It could be everything from canoeing to cycling to weightlifting to gym work to press-ups to basketball to football to shooting, archery. The kind of names that took part in this program over the years are pretty illustrious, but Brian Jacks, he beat them all. He won every heat. He won all the British Championships he took part in, and the Europeans as well. He broke a couple of world records, and he really did spark an interest for judo across the nation in the UK. Loads of my classmates, when we were 7, 8, 9 and 10 years of age, we all went to do judo. I mean, I only did it for about a year and a half, but I'll tell you what, it really did toughen me up. So today we're going to drive down from Bangkok to Pattaya, to North Pattaya, the place where Brian Jacks retired to 26 years ago. About 20 years ago, he built a 60+ room apartment block called Viewdee Apartments, and I'll give you a little glimpse of that today. He also built himself a lovely house very nearby the apartments. He's a gregarious character, and you can usually find him sitting around the pool of that apartment block talking to the many people who stay there. He knows pretty much everybody's name and hangs out with them. If you aren't familiar with British celebrities or British celebrities of the 80s, and you're not familiar with Brian Jacks or judo, you really should watch this video, because this video is about a man, like I said, that has lived such a happy, lucky, charmed life. But was it lucky? Did he learn how to live this life through the mindset that he got from going to Japan when he was 15 years of age on his own for 2 years to learn how to be a judo master? Let's go and meet 10th Dan judoka, Brian Jacks.
We're here today with a man called Brian Jacks, aka the hard man of judo, aka King of the Dips, aka Bat Jacks. How you doing,
That
mate?
was my nickname at school.
I've done a bit of research, you see. Obviously a pleasure to meet you. I would say before we start this is the man responsible here for me getting my arse kicked in judo at the age of 8 or 9. There was, what can you do? So
I think I've been through that as well. Getting my ass kicked in the beginning.
I can imagine. So you were born in London in 1946. I think this, is that right? The same year as my mum.
Yeah.
Now, how was your childhood in general? Was it tough, or was it?
No, I had a wonderful childhood. My father was a taxi driver.
Black cab.
Black cab driver, yeah.
Wow.
Passed the knowledge, by the way, in 7 months and 2 weeks. And it was the fastest on record.
Seriously?
Yeah, he still, from the day started to the day finished was 7. And the funny thing is, I said to him, well, how did you do it so quick? Because there, in those days, he was on a bicycle. Not on a motorbike, he did it on a bike. And I said to him, how did you do it so quick? And he said, well, it's very easy. He said, I had this vision in my face, in my mind rather, that there's London, and if you cut it into 4 sections, you've got north, east, south and west, he said, and I just went from north to south, did a run, and from south to east did a run, and for me, he said, and he said it was so easy, and he followed that actual pattern all the time, so that he knew how to get from one place to another when they asked the questions, when you pass the actual knowledge, and the thing is, Pattaya is for me. I live in North Pattaya. I live on the north end, so for me, there's 4 roads going down to the beach. And there's 4 roads going across that way. So the pattern in my mind is I can get anywhere because I learnt the pattern. So if you learn the pattern, that's it.
So you've done the Pattaya knowledge then, in a way?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, I know there's 4 roads going down. 4 roads go the big main road goes across the whole of the lot. So there's 4 going down, 4 coming that way, and 1 main road going through the middle. It's easy. So that kind of built my. Built my mind up for training, because you've got to prepare properly before you actually do anything. You've got to do the preparation.
I believe you always live by the mindset of prepare to fail, fail to prepare.
That's right, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
That works, I think. So I think your dad, from what I've researched, your dad got you into judo, suggested that you try judo, is that right?
That's correct. He was a taxi driver, as you said. He was getting a bit fat. He wanted to lose weight and he wanted to defend himself. And being a greedy person, so to speak, he got the 3 things that he wanted out of judo. Right. So everything came together in the same little ball, and he got his black belt within about a year. He did. Yeah, he was very, 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 very quick.
And I'd imagine he probably wanted you to do that self-defence, look after yourself, get fit.
Yeah, I mean, I was only 7 or 8 when I first ever saw him do judo. That was at a big competition, the London taxi drivers versus the Metropolitan Police. And the police at that time were 6 foot and above. You had to be 6 foot tall. Yeah. The bloke he fought was 6'4", and he's only 5'8". So, and he bowed. They came out. The referee said begin, and he swept this policeman's feet away, and that was it. It was the end of the story. And that's what motivated me to do judo.
Right. So the first time you ever went to judo, how did you feel? Because I remember when I went to judo because of you when I was about 8 years of age, and all I remember these little white books we had, and we had to fill in all the different things that we learned. Yeah. And I've got to be honest, I don't remember many of the throws or anything. I remember one called Ippon Siyanagi.
Yeah, 1 arm shoulder throw.
Right, that was the one I was always trying to learn when I was young, and I could never quite manage it. I know you went to Japan, right, when you were, what, 15?
15, yeah.
So 19...
On my 15th birthday.
61, something like that?
61, yeah.
You went on your own, right?
On my own, on the plane, all alone.
Tell me about that, because I would imagine landing somewhere like that, the other guys are going to look and go, "Who's this little white boy? We're gonna mess him up." Was there a bit of that going on?
The crazy thing about going, I mean, looking back on it, when you're 15, you kind of, I wanted to do it, I wanted to go, but I was very scared about going. if you can understand that.
Of course I can.
So I get on the plane and arrive in Tokyo, was met by another English guy that helped me. He took me to the house where we were going to stay, which was the World Amateur Wrestling Association, the head of the World Amateur Wrestling Association, which is nothing to do with judo, but I stayed at his house, but he was never there, his wife was never there, and I lived there with the two his mother and her mother, two old grandmothers. They looked after me, they fed me. Obviously the food weren't very good, and the whole thing, to answer your question, the whole thing was, everything was so strange. Everything was really like weird. You know, you come out of the house and I had to walk about, I don't know, I think it was about 15 minutes to the station, and as you walk along, you see all these little stalls with, you know, stuff being sold in that looks horrible, peculiar, you know, like sushi and stuff like that, which I love now in any case. But you know, the whole everything was just strange, and I admit I trained hard, but I cried quite a few times.
Sure.
Because, you know, I missed home. You know.
Missed your mum, missed your dad, missed your family, missed the food.
I missed my mum's cooking, really.
Of course you do, mate. Mate, every boy at 15, if they say they don't miss their mum, if they say, go away somewhere, I think they're lying. I think they're lying there, mate. I imagine you had apprehension, you had fear, you had anxiety, all these different things. Is that probably where you first learnt to control your mind, or get this mindset of a champion?
Yeah, I think it was because I always remembered going back to what my dad said. You know, if you're going to do the knowledge of London, get a picture in your mind of whatever it is and so on, and look at the picture in your mind. And when I got on the train in Japan, I mean, I don't know, it's absolutely chaos. I mean, the underground system there is so much more advanced than the underground system in Britain. It's unbelievable. And not only is it more complicated, but everything was in this Japanese writing. None of it was in English. So to get from one place to another, you had to very, very quickly remember the character or learn the character, one or two. So what I did, I got big sheets of paper about 2 foot by 1 foot, you know, big sheets. I drew the character on it and stuck it on the ceiling in my room. So I had all these characters stuck on, so that I could remember which station to get on and which station to get off. Then I had a picture of the circle, like the circle line in England, and then where the stations were and the characters. Just to get back, I was on my own. I mean, no one helped me. I just had to get on with it.
That's pretty scary. How were the Japanese people in general? Were they quite friendly or a bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was, as we said, 1961. It wasn't very long after the war ended. When I walked along the street, people would like want to touch my hair because it was blonde, and would want to speak to you, and they were very, very friendly.
Well, you were a good-looking guy as well, weren't you? So you know.
The train, it was marvellous, because you'd sit on the train, and every time I went on the train, someone would want to speak to me in English. You know, but they would want to try to speak to you in English. So.
That's a pretty good thing. So I mean, that was 2 years. I mean, you obviously learned a lot, not just in judo, but mindset and everything. How was England when you got back? Do you think it had changed much, or did you?
Well, I was there for just on 2 years, and Dad brought me back. We came back via Hawaii and America. We had a little bit of a holiday on the way back home.
Lovely.
But basically, I came back for a couple of weeks just to be with the family. Then I was going to go back to Japan. But what happened was that during the period of time that I got back, which was only about 5 weeks after I got back, I carried on training, obviously, and my dad recognised the fact that the training in Japan was totally different from Britain. I.e., in Britain, everyone was much stronger, powerful, you know, weightlifting. In Japan, they're more loose and so on.
Right.
So he got me on a much different training schedule. And then I went into the trials for the Olympic Games, which was in Japan. I won the trials. I was only
68?
Yes. No, 64.
Sorry. Yeah, 64.
Yeah. No, I went in 62, came back in late 60, right at the end of 63, and then I went in the trials in England in 1964 to get into the Olympic team, which was later on in the year. But that took me back to Japan because I won it. I was only 17 at the time.
So how did it feel going back to Japan? A lot easier?
Yeah, it was easy because I I knew all the little.
You knew already, didn't you,
I
mate?
knew all the little nicks and eggs, you know.
So around then, 64, I think you competed in the Euro Championships in both the juniors and the seniors in the same year, right?
That's right.
In
Yeah.
64?
Junior European, I won the Junior Europeans. I came second in the Senior Europeans, and I was only 17. And then won the place to go back to Japan for the Olympics. And the amazing thing was there was, I think it was 18, 3 sixes, yeah, 18 people in my weight category. And I was only 17, all the others were like 23, 24, 30 and, you know, upwards. But having the experience I had in Japan, and when I came back for that short period, my dad got me on more, you know, physical, tough exercises to toughen me up a bit, like weight training and stuff.
Did he change your food as well, your diet?
Yeah,
or?
well, the diet changed completely. The diet in Japan was, it was 1961, it wasn't very good at all. I mean, I remember the first breakfast I had at the house that I lived in. The two ladies that, you know, the two mothers of the family brought this bowl of rice, and I thought it looked all mushy. And when I tasted it, it tasted like rice with salt in it. I couldn't even eat it. It made me heave. But you know, then you see all these little delicacies that they have, and totally different. It was amazing, amazing experience.
Do you remember what your mum cooked you when you first got home, though?
Yeah.
What did she cook?
She was my mum was the head cook at BOAC.
Okay.
So she was the head cook at BOAC, or one of the head cooks. And how they got to come and see me in Japan, because she was with my dad when the family came over to pick me up. Because she got you know, cheaper tickets. Obviously she got them at 10% of the actual price, so the whole family came over. But she was just a wonderful woman. She was a great cook, a great mother. She, you know, the house was always tidy. You always had to do this and do that, and it was lovely. It was really a good upbringing.
Sorry, I forgot to ask you, what part of London was it?
Well, I was born in Stepney, in the East End of London.
Yeah.
And then we moved over to the south, over to Sydenham.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my granddad's from the east. His family from sort of Plaistow and East Ham.
I was actually born just off Cable Street,
Right, okay.
Stepney. But to get into the Olympics at that time, you had to be a total amateur. If you'd earned money, they wouldn't let you get in the games in any case. So, you know, I was purely amateur. I'd never earned any money out of judo whatsoever.
So how were you earning your money before? We're going to talk about superstars in a minute, but how did you earn your money leading up to superstars? Did you have a profession? Or?
Well, after the 1964 Olympics in Japan, where I got into the last, I was in the last 8. Mm-hmm. I went back to England. I had a friend of mine at the judo club who worked in a nightclub, believe it or not. And he said to me, you know, because I didn't have any money, he said, I'll get you a job in the nightclub. Okay. He said, all you've got to do is just open the door, let people in, shut the door, you just got to wear nice clothes, and I had to wear a hat at the time.
Okay, yeah.
And that was Birdland in the centre of London. It was called Birdland. It was owned by Lenny Bloom and Lewis Brown. People will know Lewis Brown and Lenny Bloom from the old days.
Yeah.
So I was opening and shutting the door. The reason the door had to be shut was so that the music didn't go out and other people complained about it. That was basically it. Anyway, I did that for 3 weeks. And the boss came down, sacked the assistant manager, came up and said to me, "You've done a very good job here for 3 weeks." He said, do you want to be promoted into assistant manager, because I've just sacked him? And I thought, well, yeah, why not, you know. And the great thing was that I didn't have to start until 9 o'clock at night, and I finished about 3 o'clock in the morning, so it was only 6 hours, but 9 or 10 o'clock I could get in, so I could train before that, do the job, and go back home. It was great. Anyway, I did that. So I did that for about 3 or 4 weeks, and he moved the manager to another one of his clubs. He had about 14 clubs. He moved his manager to Samantha's from Birdland, where I was working, and asked me to be the manager. So of course I said yes, and it was a little bit more time, but I said yes and started the job. Every week you had to put so much money down, and whatever was over that so much, you had to give to him in cash. That was how it worked.
Okay.
So he was getting, from 14 clubs he was getting cash every night coming in like in bundles.
Nice.
Of course, silly man here, or me being stupid, I was very honest. I put the same amount of money in, but I took him all the extra money. And within about 8 weeks, he asked me to manage the biggest club, which was Samantha's in New Burlington Street. Then I realised that the managers, what they did is they put the money in that was got to go in, which was £1,500, £1,500 in the bank, and then whatever was left over was 2,000 it could be.
Yeah.
They were taking money out of that and then giving it to him, but I didn't, because I just thought that's what you had to do, is give him the money, which was right. But then I realised that people were taking the money out, so I got promoted very quickly.
That's why you got promoted.
For being honest, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing, mate.
So it was great. I mean, and it all helped me to train for the game. So. '64,
68, 64, 68, 72.
Well, 68.
72 Munich. You won a medal there, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then 76, I went to 76 games as well.
Okay. And you obviously couldn't go to 80 because I won't blame it on Maggie, but that was obviously
she asked you not to go. I could have gone because I was #1 in Britain, but I thought, no, I don't want to be there when half the world's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
which was true. Only half the world competed in that Olympics.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, I remember it. What? And your old mate Daly was there. Did he go?
Yes, he went. Yeah.
I say tongue in cheek there, mate. I'll get to that. I'll get to that later. I've got a particular question I want to ask about Daly. What inspired you, or whose idea was it? Superstars. I mean, you would have watched the programme, wouldn't you, like most people, and gone,
I can do that. I saw the programme lots of times, and when it first started, I think it was 3 years before they invited me onto it, but I watched it all that time, and being a PE teacher, because I qualified as a PE teacher, I thought, well, I'd love to do that because it's just down my street, you know what I mean? It's like what I'm built for. I got a job in Woolwich College as a lecturer, Scale 1. Mm-hmm. And when I got there, the principal said to me, "Have you finished competing judo?" So I said, "Yeah, definitely." I said, "I'm not going to compete." After qualifying as a school teacher, I don't want to compete anymore. I'm not going to compete anymore. He said, "Because I'm worried about you having time off." I said, "I don't want any more time off." I said, "I'm now finished judo. That's it." Anyway, I started the job. I think it was 2 months after I'd been teaching, 3 months after I'd been teaching at Woolwich. I had a phone call from the BBC to ask me to go in the Superstars.
Lovely.
And I said, yeah, definitely. He said, well, turn up on Friday. This was on the Monday, but he wanted me there on the Friday. I said, no. I said, no. I said, you give me some decent notice to go in it, and I'll do it, because I thought, I don't want to go in it straight away. I want to think about it and prepare for it. Anyway, they asked Neil Adams to go in it, and he went in and came 6th. Then they asked Dave Starbrook to go in it, he went in and came 6th, I think it was. And they asked me, and I said yes, because they gave me 8 weeks' notice. So in that 8 weeks, I said to my dad, what's the best thing to do? So he said, let me think about it. He said, and I'll write you a programme out and give it to you tomorrow.
Attaboy.
So he thought about it overnight. I went to bed, and all I wanted to do was start training to get fit for the different events. And then he came up with this sheet of paper, and the first 2 things on it were the gym test: 400 arm dips, 400 squat thrusts, and then the list went on all the way down. And I said to him, I said, I've never done 1 arm dip, let alone 400. So he said, if you don't want me to train you, he said, then he walked away. And I thought, well, bugger you. bugger you, I'm going to do it, you know.
You know how to push your buttons, mate.
Yeah, anyway, being a PE teacher, I looked at them doing it on the programmes before.
Yeah.
I watched very carefully, and I noticed that they were doing it in an upright position, going up and down like this.
Yeah.
I thought if I could tilt my body and do it this fashion, while I'm doing that, my legs will be flipping me up again. So if you can imagine the head there, the body here, the legs flipping you back up, so you are doing an angle.
I'm going to put in a clip here. I'm going to put in a short clip here of the dips, because unless you see it, you won't believe it. Really. I mean, what did you do? Dip. I remember one you did 101, and the other one was like 118 in a minute. Okay, you were king of the dips, right? You changed the technique, right? And what about the squat? Sorry.
The squat thrust was the same. I remember my dad and I looked at the way everyone was doing it, and the rule was that you had a line there and a line there.
That's
and
right.
you had to go over the line with your feet in a press-up position. And the first thing is, everybody did the press-ups with flat hands on the floor.
Yeah.
So when you bring your knees up, the distance between your hands and your chest is very narrow. If you go up on your fingers, the distance between that extends by 5 inches.
Right, okay,
so you can bring your legs up quicker. Then we decided that instead of touching the floor with your toes, why not slip over it, you know? We were looking at doing it with the least amount of energy.
Of course, yeah.
I practiced on the fingers, and then we practiced the slide, and we found out you could slide much quicker because you had more room. Instead of being like that, it was like that. You brought your back, so your knees could come up much quicker. Then, my dad said to me, he said, because when you do it, I was wearing my shoes out. You know what I mean?
Of course, slide, yeah.
Because I was doing 400 every day, and also it was burning my toes.
Yeah,
So when you started burning my toes through the shoes. So he said to me, well, we went to speak to a mate of mine that was a material expert, and he got us some material that you could put on your shoe, stick on your shoe, that slid off of anything.
Right, okay,
go over
yeah,
any surface. So we stuck those on, and that was it. I did 118 in a minute.
But I mean, you were also dominant in, let's say, the kayaking, the cycling.
It was actually canoeing, not kayaking.
Right, canoeing. There is a
yeah.
difference in it. Okay, so canoeing, cycling, and obviously you did very well in the weightlifting as well, didn't you?
Well, the canoeing, let me go back to the canoeing. I watched people doing it, and then I went to a guy that was ex-British champion that I knew through teaching at the college, and he watched me canoe, and he said, look, the technique that you've got to do to get the maximum speed is you've got to reach into the water. He said, imagine the boat's going along, and then you're reaching with the paddle, and as you're going along, you're reaching, but the boat is catching up with the reach. So, so you're only putting the paddle in when the boat has already got to your body. If you can understand it, when your body's sitting in the boat. He said you've got to reach as far as you can, because the further you reach forward, the more water you can pull back. So that one little thing that he taught me there changed my whole attitude.
Oh, you were away in that, mate.
But it's all, as you said earlier on, it's all about the preparation and the learning the technique properly. And luckily, you know, having the experience in Japan, getting smashed about at 15 years old for 2 years, getting beaten up, you start to learn the technique, don't you? You start to learn, you know, the technique properly.
You do, mate. Out of all those I've mentioned and everything, what do you reckon was your favourite event? No, I'm not necessarily the best, but what did you like doing the most out of all the super
Yeah, I liked all of them. I liked the weightlifting, obviously. I went to see little Precious Mackenzie, and he helped me. You know, so got me doing the technique properly, you know. But I don't know, I enjoyed all of them. I enjoyed the shooting, I enjoyed the boat. We did bow and arrow
as well, yeah.
We did all sorts of, and every event was different. But let me just explain what happened. The first time I went in it, everybody turned up, and I'd obviously trained quite hard. So, you know, I did cycling, I did swimming, canoeing, I'd done all the preparation. So when we got there, they brought 4 bikes out, so you had to take a bike and race around the track. The boys were getting on it and racing, but I got on it and I set the bike up with a tape measure. How far the handlebars had to be away from the pedals, how far the pedals had to be away from the seat, and all that. And I had it all taped out, and they're all looking at me, and I'm. But the preparation of it is very important. I did the shooting, pistol shooting. I went to see some real good international shooters, and they told me how to hold the pistol and all that lot. So it's all preparation. Malcolm McDonald,
yeah.
he did the 100 metres in under 11 seconds. I don't know if you know.
Yeah,
that was recorded.
or something.
10.9 it did, yeah. I mean, that's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, my dad, I think he was known as Super Mac.
I mean, the fastest I've ever done is 11.4 or something, you know.
What I remember from this era after Superstars is you became a real celebrity. So much so that if it was about today, you'd probably be the first name on the list for someone to call for. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
That's right. Yeah.
Would you have done that?
Yeah, I would have done it. Yeah.
You would have smashed it as well, I think.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if anybody, nobody will be watching this, but if anybody is, let's bring back, let's start a new show. I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. Over 65s. Would you do it?
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
I think you'd smash it,
over
mate.
45, so.
Right, I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to write a letter, mate, to the TV programme. So tell me,
if you would do that, would be great. I'd love to do it.
I think that'd be fantastic, mate. I can just think of some of the competitors. Is Daly still about? Is he?
Yeah, David Thomas.
Sorry, mate. Sorry,
But I'd love to go up against him, and that'd be great.
See, that would be fantastic. For me, that would be something good to see, and I'm actually going to write a letter. I promise
that'd
you.
be very nice. I'd love to do it.
So, celebrity a little bit. I mean,
I haven't seen them lately because they've changed all the format to it, haven't they?
Right. You were on everything for a while. You were a celebrity. I mean, I've got listed here. I remember Swap Shop, Record Breakers, Generation Game, chat shows, Blue Peter, Celebrity Squares. It was pretty much everything, right?
Yeah.
How did that feel at the time? Did you enjoy being a bit of a celebrity?
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was, in the beginning, it's great because you've been recognised at I walked out in the street or in West End or wherever I was, people would come up and say hello, and I'll tell you one funny thing. Yeah. After I won the second one, I think it was, I did I think 89 arm dips or something on one of the shows, and I'm in the car going up to do a show, a judo demonstration in Birmingham, and I pulled up at the traffic lights, and there was an island in the middle of the road. The cars were this side, the cars were that side. There was a lady there, quite an old lady. She had 2 shopping bags in her hand, and she was walking on with the shopping bags, and I pulled up with the traffic lights. It was red. And then she looked at me, she kept looking back into the car, looking back in the car, and she went, as she was walking across the road, and as she was walking across the road, all the shopping fell out. I had to get out of the car and I put all the shopping back in the shopping bag.
So do you reckon that's what you were most known for then?
I think it probably was.
Do you think?
I mean, it was quite funny, really.
It was a great thing to watch, though. I mean, not wanting to be too rude, but mate, that technique there, but particularly squat thrust, that must have put you in good stead with the ladies. Some of the ladies must have seen that and thought, you know what, this guy can go, man. Did you have any, how should I put it, romantic celebrity liaisons? Any celebrities you took out for dinner, shall we say?
Yeah, quite a few, yeah.
Okay, you don't want to name any, do you?
Well, I don't really. I mean, Sue Dando was one of them.
Oh, she was a lovely lady, wasn't she? She was a lovely lady, mate. She was on everyone's wall at one stage. You've also got a few celebrity friends. Gary Stretch stayed here, you said, the boxer.
Right, yeah. Gary stayed here for quite a while. He stayed at my house for quite a while as well. I trained him up for a film that he was making. He came over and asked me to help him. So I took him out, trained him in weightlifting and all the rest of it, and a few fight scenes. He's a lovely person. He's a really, really nice person.
Is he, yeah?
But he had a little bit of a drink problem, and used to drink too much. But he's great. He's a great friend.
Mickey Pearce.
Yeah, Mickey stayed here for quite a while. Well, the funny thing is, Mickey Pearce's brother is a very, very good friend of mine. That's how I got to know Mickey. Mickey stayed here for about 2 years, married a Thai girl. We've had quite a few people stay.
Is he anything like his character in Only Fools and Horses, or?
Yeah, he is a bit. Yeah, really. Yeah. You know straight away. He's kind of like, let's go.
One thing I did notice from a few things in your past was The man with the booming voice, Brian Blessed. I saw him on This Is Your Life? You were
that's it. Yeah,
you were rolling about doing some judo, and how did you get to know him? Was that through judo? Or?
Well, no, in 1964, early '64, when I came back from Japan, as we said earlier, I was just before I was 17.
Yeah.
I came back, and my dad identified that I needed to be a lot stronger to get better, because I weren't physically strong. Technique was good, but the strength wasn't there. So he used to take me all around all different judo clubs, just to get a different idea. So he took me to a place in Orange Street, just at the back of Piccadilly Circus. If you look at Piccadilly Circus, the Orange Street is one of the streets before it that goes round in a square kind of thing. And there was a judo club in there, run by Tiger Joe Robinson. He was in the film, the James Bond film. He fought James Bond in a lift. He was a self-professed world champion at judo. He was South African. He was in the movie business. He was a big, strong guy with muscles. So my dad took me there. And I said, why are you taking me? He said, you've got to get, you've got to experience all different forms of judo. And this guy is a very big, strong, muscular guy that, anyway, I trained at his gym for quite a while, and Brian was there, and loads of other stars. I mean, all the stars used to train at his gym, all Gareth Hunt and people like that, just different people.
Sorry, I could tell you a story about Gareth Hunt. I can't tell that
I did
on
pantomime with him. Yeah. He used to teach Honor Blackman, all the fight scenes and that, and I used to help as well.
Okay.
But that was another part of how I met Brian Blessed, really, because he was there.
Does he speak like he does when he acts?
He's lovely. He's such a lovely.
I've heard he's a lovely.
Such a lovely man. I had dinner with him. Last time I saw him was at Langham's. But Langham's is closed now. But I went to Langham's to have dinner with him, and he's just a beautiful man. He's just a real gentleman and very strong character, and he's projects himself almost like he hits you with vibrations. You know what I mean? He's just a lovely man.
Yeah. If I was going to employ someone to be the Lord Mayor or the town crier or anyone,
he's the man, definitely.
Almost brushes the table. Oh, calamity! Cry havoc and let's strip the dogs of war! I could have farted that in!
So tell me about panto a little bit. I mean, pantomime, for people that don't know outside of Britain, it's a huge thing around about Christmas. And typically, TV stars, famous actors from Hollywood, famous sports guys and celebrities typically are all on the same bill, right?
Yeah.
How was it in general?
That was great. I mean, I did it with Lindsay DePaul,
right,
Ted Rogers,
okay,
Gareth Hunt,
yep,
Michael Sharville Martin. We did Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and I was the ringmaster of the good circus.
Okay.
And Gareth Hunt was the ringmaster of the bad circus. And
I bet that
it was all set round a story about the two circuses. Yeah. But it was great. But in actual fact, I think we signed on for so many weeks, and then there was so many requests for them to see the show that we did another set of weeks. I can't remember what it was, but I was there for ages at one point. It was incredible.
Where did you do panto? Was it a seaside town?
Yeah,
or?
Bournemouth. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. I say a lot of the pantos were on piers and stuff like that, and I loved them as a kid.
I was asked to do another one the next year, but I was doing something else. I can't remember what it was, but that was a good experience doing the panto, because going out and acting is a bit different from just sitting talking. Or
I mean, you were asked to do everything. You even did a song, right?
Yes.
Jogging, something.
Jogging's good for you.
Now I tell you what. Number one, I have to hear that today at some point. Number two, could I? If you've got a clip, can I get a...
I'll give it to you.
Right, and I'll put a little bit of a clip on this, mate, if you don't mind. I think that's a nice blast from the past.
I've got it here if you want.
I'll have a listen after this, mate, most definitely, mate. You even did a computer game. I think there were two. There was one that was Superstars, and there was like a Brian Jacks judo thing.
Yeah.
That was for a couple of different platforms, if I remember.
Yeah, well, that was way back.
Yeah, I can remember doing this on the BBC.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. It was good for the time, mate. Did you make much dough out of things like that? No, it's just
really.
more of a...
No, not really. I mean, made a little bit of money, but not a lot.
Okay.
It was good fun doing it. I mean, the whole thing about it is it's an experience, isn't it, in life? You know, doing different things like that, TV shows and public appearances and all that. You learn to project yourself and to be self-confident. Some people can't do it, but and it is hard work. I mean, the first couple I did, you know, you're a bit shy. And I did a run of Butlins holiday camps for about 10 years.
I've been to Skegness.
Yeah, well, I went round to the holiday camps and did a judo show.
Nice.
And I did it with my dad initially, and after doing the first couple, I just realised that what you've got to do is you've got to project yourself in a certain way that people enjoy and have fun doing. So what we did is we did a comedy kind of act about judo. So I was the serious person and my dad was the funny person, and he used to come with me on most of the shows at the holiday camps. I said, ladies and gentlemen, I said, we're going to show you a little bit about judo, and I said, this is my father, and okay, Dad, I said, attack me. So he'd like stand behind me and go, I'd go, give me a bear hug. And he'd stand behind me, bear? And I said, yeah, bear hug, give me a bear hug. And he's behind me, I can't see him. Bear hug. Right? And he'd go, bear hug, and look at the audience. And I'd go, yes, bear. And he'd go, da, 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 and start taking his jacket off. As if he's going to be bear, you know, not that kind of bear, and it was all that kind of slapstick stuff, which went down very, very well. And I designed the whole thing around learning the throws and locks in a comedy act, you know.
That's living the dream to me, working with your dad like that.
It was wonderful times, yeah. He was a great man.
Perfect, mate. Sounds like you've got a lot of your...
It was a great,
not just personality, but everything, mindset.
He was a cab driver all his life, but before he was cab driving, he was on a sailor on the ship, obviously during the war. He was on RML 157 rescue motor launch, and they were stationed in the Scilly Isles, and he was stationed there all the time. In other words, if a plane went down, he'd be the boat that goes out to pick the pilot up. So rescue on a rescue motor launch, and was stationed in the Scilly Isles. Anyway, I get a job there one year. I went with Mike Reed. It was a great friend of mine as well. Right. I went with him to the Scilly Isles and stayed in this hotel, and we get there about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I got in the room, got washed up, changed, and I thought, well, I'll have a little walk around, because we weren't doing anything till the evening. And I walked around, there was an antique shop, and at that time I collected antique guns, flintlocks and percussions. And I'm looking in the window, there was quite a few little guns in there, and all little bits and pieces, quaint little antique shop. And I thought, I'll go in and ask him how much the gun is. So I get inside. And as soon as I got into the shop, this woman came up to me and she went, looking all around, and I thought, what the fucking heck's happening here, And she went, I just touched my hair. She said, you're Albert Jacks's son. And I said, well, how do you know my dad? She said, he was on a rescue motor launch here during the war, he said. And he said all the girls were after him, everyone, he was such a handsome man, and he was a really lovely person, and he used to swim around the ship, he used to race around the ship. Yeah. She told me all about him.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, really, because, I mean, I'd never met the woman before. She just thought I looked like him so much that it must have been him,
Mad, isn't it?
It was a good.
Do you reckon you got your mindset from him as well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he although he never projected anything, he just seemed to come out with the ideas, and then you'd think, oh, that's quite clever. That's quite right. That's good. Like I said to him, how can I do 400 arm dips every day? I haven't got an arm dip machine. He said, compromise. Compromise. So I said, well, how the frickin' heck do I compromise? Taking the piss out of him, And then he would put 2 park benches back to back. I'd have to do them on the park bench with my knees bent. So you know, my knees completely bent up, and he was just a lovely person. He'd be there all the time when I was training.
It's a beautiful memory, mate. That knowing so, like he's given you so much as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Obviously, you're a 10th Dan judo master. Right?
Yeah.
Achieving the level of success you did requires a lot of dedication, right?
Yeah.
A lot of dedication. Like, can you describe the mindset that helped you through the toughest challenges? What I mean by that is, right, you've got mindset to become a sportsman, right? But then there's a different mindset to be trying to break world records.
I've often thought about that myself, but to give you an example, I run this business of renting out apartments, and we get all sorts of different people come in, and we've got a little group that plays golf, we've got a little group that plays cricket, we've got a little group that does all different things, but particularly with the golf, we go to golf, and all I want to do is win. I don't want to go to play golf just to knock the ball around. It's not me. And all these guys here, they you know, I mean, I win every time, but I win because I'm determined to win. You know what I mean? They love it. You know, they think it's fantastic because they're always trying to beat me. You know, and it makes me play better. And
Of course it does.
I think it's inside you. It's something that, you know,
It must be.
If you want to do something, you've got to do it properly, haven't you?
Talking of world records, how many did you break? You must have broken a few.
What in
superstars alone, mate?
Yeah,
Dips, squats,
dip, squat thrust, canoeing.
You know.
That's
pretty good, isn't it, mate?
Quite a few of them. Yeah.
It's a great memory to look back on, though. I mean,
I've trained very hard for them. That's the main thing is if you're going to do anything in life, you've got to work at it. I mean, you know, if you want, I became a teacher. I'm not academically very clever, but I did 3 years at college, and I put my world into it to pass. You know.
Something you were telling me before. Who was the lecturer there? Who was the main
Joe
guy?
Jagger.
Joe Jagger. That's Mick Jagger's dad.
Mick Jagger's dad. Yeah. He was just an ordinary person. He just happened to be a singer's dad. You know, that was it. And same as my dad. I mean, he just happened to be a dad that.
Yes.
But in the happening to be. He was with me 100% all the way. You know, right behind me every time.
Proper support.
Yeah, I mean, like when we got to the actual event, whichever event it was, he'd set the bike up properly for me, and he'd get everything ready. You know.
I like this aspect of it because my boy's 18 at the minute, and we do everything together. And I like to think that I provide things for him mentally and stuff, you know. But I like to hear stories like this because it's almost looking into the future for me a little bit. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
My son, you know. Let's talk about mental strength because everybody goes through little down days. Everybody has a bit of depression. Everybody has a bit of that. How, in your career and after, how did you overcome any mental kind of adversities? Did you think you did it through training or?
Well, I mean, I think when you go, I mean, I'm now 78, and when you go through life, you go through different stages of life and different stages of what you want to do, what you don't want to do, or, you know, and those stages are always backed up by your inner feeling about doing what you want to do. I wanted to impress my dad, so that was kind of an inner feeling.
Right, okay.
And then later on in life, I wanted to impress the people that I was up against, like Daley Thompson. Because I wanted to impress them, obviously, as I was training, it was in my mind to do better.
So I have to say something about that because for me, when we look back on British sports history, you look at someone like Daley Thompson and people put him on this pedestal as one of our greatest ever athletes, decathlete, gold medals and everything. Yet, how many times you beat him?
Well, two different
competitions. Yeah. That must feel incredible, and that must feel almost justification.
To be very honest, I mean, he's a great athlete. There's no question about that. He was a decathlete, wasn't he? So he did all different sports, and he's a great competitor. But as far as I was already British champion at the Superstars when he came into it.
Yeah.
So because he came into it after I was British champion, there was no way I wanted to because he was a great all-round athlete, there was no way I wanted him to beat me.
Absolutely.
So it made me more determined, and that was one of the great things that I was lucky to have him come into the competition, because it made me more determined to win. Because I knew what a great, I mean, he's a phenomenal decathlete, you know. So I think that all those things tend to help. Even if I'd have trained really hard and lost against him, the motivation that he came into it, the motivation that made me motivated to win more.
Right,
if you can understand.
No,
what
absolutely. I mean, you need someone like that. Don't you?
Yeah. It was a great for me, really.
Of course it was.
Because I was determined that he ain't gonna beat me. I mean.
How did he come across? Because I've heard not wanting to speak bad or good about anybody that I don't know. I've heard various stories that he can be a bit arrogant and stuff. But did you come across all right?
Yeah, I mean, I took 56 kids from my judo club on a coach to see one of the competitions that he was in, and a couple of the kids asked him for his autograph, and he wouldn't do it because, I mean, okay, people say, oh, you know, that's nasty, but I can see why. You know, being a competitor, I can see why that he didn't want to sign the autograph. Perhaps he was preparing in his mind before the competition, so I can quite understand that. But from the kids' point of view, it was you know, big-headed bastard kind of thing. But I can understand it, because lots of times people have come up to me, you know, at those competitions, and there was loads of people watching, and asked me to do this, asked me to do that, and all you're thinking about is, I've got to do the canoeing, and I've got to remember remember that, and it's in your mind about competing, but people want your attention, and I can understand if you say go away, you know, I can understand it, but. Yeah. But it doesn't do your character any good. That's the problem.
You said you had your own judo club for a while. Do I call that a dojo?
Yeah, dojo, yeah.
So you had your own dojo for a while, yeah? How did that feel, being a mentor? Is that something that you enjoyed, or passing on your knowledge?
It's wonderful, isn't it? Because I qualified at college, and then the council gave me the freedom of Bromley. You know, kind of
really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
And then I bought the lease on a property right next door to Orpington Station, and started a little judo club up, and it became very, very popular, very, very big, obviously because of superstars.
Yes.
And during that period, I realised that the judo was just about paying to keep the place going, you know. So I needed more money, so I started a children's birthday party business up.
Well, bouncy castles and all that sort of stuff?
Inside, yeah, we had a bouncy castle, we had an obstacle course, and we did a party for whatever they wanted we would do, you know. So 40, Mum would come along with Dad and want their kids to have like 30 kids at the party or 40 kids at the party. We'd give them a price for it, and we'd do entertainment and have something to eat, and then a bit more entertainment. The last bit of entertainment would be me probably doing puppets, you know, talking puppets and stuff like that. But it was such a success. It was unreal. I was doing 5 birthday parties a week, and we would supply all the entertainment, whatever the kid wanted. We'd give them a list of stuff that we could do, like, you know, puppets. And I do all the talking puppets. I used to go with my wife. I used to go to Disney World all the time to buy different, you know, things, and just to get different ideas about doing the birthday parties. And we had bouncy castles, obviously, and we do all the table decoration. If they wanted a Cinderella party, it'd be all Cinderella stuff, or if they wanted Mickey Mouse, it'd be all Mickey Mouse hats, all the party bags. We did everything. It was a wonderful time. I earned quite a bit of money out of it, and it got me training, you know, for the superstars, because there was no money in the superstars.
It was just prestige, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, I got a lot of money for personal appearances after, but the actual superstar event, for coming first, you got 2,500 baht, pound, I'm thinking about £2,500 for coming first, 2,000 for coming second, 1,500 for coming third. So every time I earned £2,500, they took £500 entry fee off of it. So you actually got 2,000. So it was nothing really. I mean,
that's taking the piss, though, isn't it? Really, a little bit.
I think I probably said earlier that when Brian retired, he bought a bit of land up here in the dark side, north of Pattaya, and he built a 60-room condo apartment block. It's a lovely place. I'll show you around quickly around the outside. There's a pool here. It's a very social place, and obviously Brian, being a very gregarious character, suits this down to the ground. I'd imagine you'd be socialising round here
Yeah,
most
I know
days,
them all
right?
by name, all 69, all 60 people that live in the apartments. I know all their names, and we all go out together. We play golf together. We do this, that, and the other. We go swimming. We go play cards, all sorts of things. We've got a mate coming now from outside, but he's just moved from Koh Samui to here. He's just coming over. We'd probably go out and have something to eat. Maybe some of the other people who come for breakfast with us have breakfast together. Then we go and play golf together, or we go swimming in the, or we play cards. We do all different things. We just socialise, and I try and keep them all together.
Right.
It's something that I learned at college. With been doing sociology. I like a beer, obviously, but I don't go and sit in bars all day because I don't know. It's just a kind of waste of time. It's nice to do something, isn't it? To go out and play golf or.
So you're 78 now, and you still keep fit every single day. He just showed me his phone before. He's doing on average of 30 kilometres every morning on a bicycle. So I'm going to ask you a question, but I think that's already answered it. What advice would you give to retirees, particularly those who come to Pattaya, to stay mentally and physically active?
I think first of all, you've got to live somewhere where there is activity going on. Okay. It's no good living in a hotel because you don't know anybody in the hotel. You can't go and sit. I mean, if you look behind us now, there's 4 or 5 people sitting around the pool. It's very early in the morning. There'll be a big group here in the afternoon, and they'll all go out on the motorbike, so they might go into town. But there's something going on. You've got to keep yourself busy all the time. Yes. It's no good just sitting in bars and getting pissed. I mean, that's just not on. I mean, it's just a crazy thing because you just get nowhere.
So looking back at your career, how would you like to be remembered? Or as a person, rather than your career?
It's a great question, that, because I got to the stage in Britain it was 1998, it was 26 years ago, isn't it? I got to a stage in Great Britain where I didn't want the attention anymore.
Of course.
I was fed up with people coming up. I know it's hard to understand that, but when you've got to give your attention to everybody that comes up to you all day long, in the end it wears you down a bit. And I don't ever want to be rude to anyone. I'm not that kind of character, so when people come up and want your attention, you've got to say this, that and the other, even if you think, well, for fuck's sake, fuck off, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
I'm
mate.
sorry to be honest about it.
No, you have to be honest.
But I think that's it, and that's why one of the reasons I came here. And then after I got over that, because we run this big apartment block, it's just nice to be able to go to them and get them involved instead of them coming to me all the time. So because when you're in the limelight and you're like I was at one point in time in England, and people want your attention, sometimes it just drags you down. But never dragged me down, but I always thought of, this is too difficult, this is difficult, doing this, and I've always been friendly with everyone and tried to be tried to look up to being a nice person, but it is hard work. It's very hard work.
You reckon it's harder being a celebrity? It probably is, isn't it?
It is very difficult, yeah. Just to give you a quick example, in England, just after I won the Eurpean Superstars Championships, I went to eat in a restaurant in London with a couple of friends, and a bottle of wine came over, and the waiter said, "This bottle of wine's from the gentleman over there." And I looked on the other table and I said, "Well, who's the gentleman over there?" He said, "Well, it's Christa Berg."